The Villain's Demand reviews Invincible Iron Man Reboot, written by Brian Michael Bendis and art by David Marquez.
Hey guys, this is The Villain's Demand. I'm Evan the Great. This is Justin Von Doom and Hero Man. Today we're going to give you a comic book review over Invincible Iron Man Volume 2, Issues 1 through 5. And this is also our 1-year anniversary. So this is also our annual review.
This book starts off, it's Tony in his workshop, and he's going on about how a 15-year-old kid reverse engineered one of his suits of armor on a dare, and how it embarrassed him, and how he hasn't been spending enough workshop time because he needs to evolve. He has to stay so far ahead of the curve that other people can't see the curve. And so he's building this new set of armor, and at the end of the book he gets it done, or about halfway through. But he's got to power it up, so he's eager to get in it, but it's not powered up yet. That's when you find out he's actually got a date set with a fellow scientist, Amora, and at this time Friday shows up in the book. It's his new AI. She's the one telling him about it, that he can't drop it. He goes on the date with her. He ends up having to cut the date short because he's getting a call in that Madame Masque has robbed a Stark tower in Japan, and she's also just recently robbed Doom's castle in Latveria. So this is kind of important. He's got to cut out for it. He cuts the date short, but it seems like he cut the date short because she wouldn't kiss him, and Tony's not used to getting turned down. So that's playing on him a little bit throughout the book. Next couple issues, how he thinks, oh, she just thinks I ran off because she wouldn't kiss me. While he's in Latveria, he finds that the new Doom shows up, but he's not Doom. He's Victor Von Doom. He doesn't wear his armor. His face is fixed, and he's like really handsome. He's actually really powerful. Tony, this is his first time you get to see him in his new armor because it's charged at this point. Tony tries to attack him thinking he's the same old Doom, and he can't even touch him. He can't get through his force field, nothing. You also get to see what his new armor does. It transforms into a Hulkbuster, and because he's trying different things to get through his armor. During all this, you kind of find out that Dr. Doom doesn't seem like Dr. Doom. He's like wanting to turn a new leaf. Like now that his face is fixed and everything, he doesn't have that agenda to be evil and get more power. That's kind of throwing Tony off. Tony ends up leaving there because and going and tracking down Madame Masque. He ends up finding her in a hotel. He's trying to talk to her. They have some past love interest going on, and the fight ends up happening. Right off the bat, she starts whooping him. She's got new powers. She's very magic based. She's whooping up on him, and his suit ejects him. That's the only way he's really able to survive. And then so after that, he goes back to see Amora. He sneaks into her house. She shows up. They have this whole little love scene thing going on. He's talking to her, and they end up finally kissing. And then he gets a call from Strange. He's been trying to get in contact with Strange, so he's got to cut out on her again. He goes meets with Strange. Strange kind of fills him in on what's going on. Tells him he can't help because he's kind of full right now, but he will be keeping an eye on him. And then Tony leaves there. And once he gets done with that, he has to keep his persona of Tony Stark going. So he goes and meets with some sick kids. During all this, Doom shows back up, and they take it to the rooftop. They're just talking. They end up knowing that they have to team up together. So him and Doom go track down Madame Masque once again, who's still gradually growing in power. They end up finding her in a nightclub, brand new, open in Chicago, opened by Mary Jane. She's talking about when the club first opens, how she had to move out of New York because all the villains are in New York, and every time you open something in New York, the villains destroy it. Lo and behold, Madame Masque shows up and kills somebody. Dr. Doom and Iron Man show up. They fight her. It's a pretty good fight. We'll get into that. They end up defeating her. You find out she was possessed by a demon. They do an exorcist, and then Strange shows up to save her, and then eventually turn her over to S.H.I.E.L.D. because she is still dangerous.
Just try not to laugh while you're giving that, because just before I give what I thought about the book, because you were like, hey, he's trying to you know, get this kiss from Amora, and then some Strange calls him. I was like, I'm trying not to laugh. I'm like, you know, then he gets a call from Strange. I'm like, yeah, because Tony likes him from Strange. And then, you know, and he's got to go because of Strange. And it's, you know, and you were just talking about how Tony couldn't get some. You read the book, yeah, Tony's not getting none. And then some Strange calls him, and I thought, oh my God, I wish he could hear himself. That's hilarious.
I didn't even notice
it. It was a play on words. But anyways, really, really good story to open up with the Iron Man series for the all different Marvel. Been reading Iron Man probably since around the Extremist started. And I think this is one of the really good stories. It's a really good way to kick off. They've added Strange. Strange is getting a movie coming out towards the end of the year, so it's giving him a big bump. They bring in Doctor Doom, or Victor Von Doom, because he's no longer Doctor Doom. If you don't know me, you guys do. I'm a huge Victor Von Doom fan. And it's just nice that, you know, where I talked about Secret Wars, where they were trying to, you know, I never really see Doom for years now as a villain. He's kind of been like maybe the anti-hero. He's wanting to do what's right now. He's getting a chance to.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff in the book to play on in the future. Give it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, and I got the same reaction as these guys. It's a really good book. They covered a whole lot of stuff in 5 issues, but the best thing I like out of this book that got my attention is that whenever Tony, opens up with him building armor, and you find out that this student has, basically put his armor out there for display, and then what do they call it?
They hacked it.
Yeah, reverse engineered it. So what's better than a regular Tony is a determined Tony. So he wants to make his armor the new evolution. He wants everybody to know that he is still Tony Stark, and he can create, great things. So he creates an armor that not only is just a new suit of armor, it's an armor that basically can transform into all his other armors. He can go stealth armor, he can go Hulkbuster, he can go regular armor, he's got all these different armors.
Samurai Ninja armor.
But now they're all in one, and I really like that aspect, because in the new suit of armor, the way it looks, I'm not a fan of it, but I love the functions of it.
I like the way it looked. I like the simplicity of it, because you don't expect anything different.
Yeah.
And then from something so simple, and then it's, like you said, it's the best suit of armor he's created. Over probably the last 5-6 years now, he's almost had a different armor for almost like every arc. And
yes,
here recently, they've gotten more and more powerful, but now everything is wrapped up into one. And I think that's great that you get to see Tony Stark do that. And and in the future, it's probably going to change where he will continue to build new armors, and that's great. They kind of play that off of the movies, where in Iron Man 3 he had like 42 armors,
yeah.
And now he's just got all 42 armors into one. But in the background, they're still showing he still is keeping his armors in the book,
yeah,
which is good. Yeah.
I didn't like the way it really looked either. I thought it looked like it was just kind of painted on him.
Yeah.
I didn't. To me, it didn't look like he was wearing armor. It looked more like he was just wearing kind of a bulky like suit or something.
Well, in a sense, it kind of reminded me of a 80s or really early 90s Iron Man, where it looked like it was him, like he looked like a person. And I didn't really hate it, but it obviously they could have done better. But I'm not going to complain about it. I think it fit the book to start out. So it looked simple, and then as the book went on, the arc, it got more, you've seen the complexities of the armor, and I really thought that was a nice touch. Brian Michael Bendis wrote this, am I right?
Yeah, he did.
And he did a really good job, and this book's probably going to be amazing.
Yeah, so far the book is awesome. One thing I noticed about all the armors he has laying around is I'm wondering I bet them armors will be able to control themselves like all of his armors do in the past. And I'm wondering if that's why he's keeping them, to have like his own stockpile of armor if he needs be.
Like the Iron Legion, like they do in the movie. Yeah, I'm sure eventually that'll
I actually like that in the movie, that part. And I can see him actually, doing something more of that line in the new series. Another character is a newer character. I don't know if she's new or not, but I really like the Amora girl that he tries to, he went on a date with her. I think there's a whole lot to her character that they're probably going to hit on through the series, because she's highly intelligent and she has a cure for the mutant gene.
Yeah.
So anybody that high on the list is going to pull the the looks from all the mutants in the world, and everybody knows that they just that Tony back in the day him and the Avengers fought the X-Men over, you know, different mutant rights and stuff. And I can only see him having a woman with a cure, that he would get interested in mutants that want to cure themselves, and then he would get the ones that want to fight him.
Well, to add to that, you know, like I was saying, this book's really good for building towards the future. Even with that, if any of you guys have read any of the X-Men books, and we're going to cover some of those, like right now, the mutants are sterile because of the Terrigen mist. It's killing them off. And almost it's like, well, we're going to throw just that bit of dialogue here for the future. And maybe instead of curing mutant gene, it'll cure the mutant gene from the Terrigen mist. Also, there's a lot going in this book that ties in, like, also with, like, the Doctor Strange book, how Doctor Strange, he's like, stuff like this always going on, and Doctor Strange is like, always. If you've read the Doctor Strange title, which we're going to cover also, Doctor Strange is always talking about how there's always stuff going on in the dimension that you can't see that's basically on the Earth, full of, like, evil, hooboo, gobbo, germ things. It's a really good book, but, yeah, this book kind of plays into a lot of the stuff right now that's going on in this all-new different Marvel. And I'd say, out of all the titles I've read, this is probably one of the good books to jump off
on. Talking about her having a cure for the mutant gene, which I thought that was a huge bomb. They just
Big
dropped.
bomb, yeah. Pipe bomb.
But they bring it about, talking about them both being scientists. I bet you at least have one. She's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you might even have 5. And what they're talking about are inventions that they don't want the world to know about. Because the world's not ready for them. And her one that she had was the cure for the mutant gene. And she says she don't even have it wrote down.
Yeah, because she's that scared.
She's that scared because she knows if the world got it, within a week, it would be law that they all have to be cured. And that's not right. They're still human, you know. And so she doesn't want the world to know. And then Tony goes on about how, well, even in your head, it's not safe. You know, he's talking about all these psychics and all this that can still get it from her. And how he can protect her and how he can keep her safe. If y'all talking about and how Tony is, he very well might be trying to play on that. Keep her where only he has, you know, basically the key to the door.
Because sometimes Tony gets selfish and wanting to save the day himself,
Yeah, so, you know, there's a little bit of something there. But talking about his new armor, jumping back to that, my favorite part where you're getting to see his armor jump around is when he goes to find Masque. They think they pinpointed her, and she leaves him a note. Really, it's a tape recorder talking about how they used to have a history and this and that, and how maybe they're meant to be together. And all this, but if he comes looking for her again, she'll rip his face off and all this brutal stuff. And then she talks about this other group that is looking for her, and that this group should be arriving around this time. They'll probably kill Tony
you see them guys actually earlier in the book. I'm pretty sure that's them chasing her down the building in Japan. Don't call me on that. I'm just because they were ninjas, and I'm assuming that was them guys.
Yeah. And so Tony has a fight with them, and his armor changes a couple times. He goes from stealth suit to normal suit to something else to samurai.
Yeah.
And the samurai one's the main one. And he's fighting these guys off. And I thought that was just a great display of his suit, because you already know it can go Hulkbuster from when he met Doom.
When he fights Doom.
And then when he's fighting them, man, it's just constantly changing. Just.
And what's cool on top of that is they've got like these energy swords, and they're really fucking him up with them. And then when he takes one, he almost adapts his armor to how it works.
Yeah.
And almost uses it in the same way. It's really
cool.
nice because you see how his armor is adapting to situations. You know, he even said that it's like when he goes visit the kids, and it's like, kid's like, I can't fit in that. And he's like, boom, and it adapts to fit the kid. And even to where it adapts to fit Madame Masque at the end of the book when they're fighting her and they capture her, which is really cool because now you see him use a suit in a different way. Instead of fighting, he uses it for containment. It's really neat.
Which goes into the suit can kick him out, and he can be away from the suit and have his little invisible keyboards come up
and control it.
And control it. The first time he fights Madame Masque, that's how he has to do it. Because she's whooping his ass. But to talk about having the Iron Legion, he kind of shows that he has that technology in this book. Because he has all them armors just walking in freely to meet the kids.
Exactly,
so the kids can see them. So he does have that technology. He just hasn't went about using it yet.
And he uses actually when he does that, it's really cool because if you pay attention at the part that's not focused on dialogue behind the kids, like they're actually bending down, almost like they're human in a way, like talking to the kids and whatnot. Like you see one kid, it looks like it's touching the face. You can't really tell armor it is, but it's squatted down like it's talking to him in a way. And I'm pretty sure, like, you know, Evan the Great want to see, that's probably going to really play into the future of this book.
Yeah, to have all access to all that. Would also, Tony's always about trying to get his image out there and to make sure that his image is correct these days, because his stuff's always getting stolen and used and abused. And by being able to have something like this, it would be a great outlet to you know, go to these hospitals, visit these kids, have all your different Iron Mans do it. It allows Tony to be in more places than one, and to help the community out. Another point I want to kind of change gears a little bit is the fact that they use Madame Masque as one of the main villains in this book. It is the main villain, but it was really cool that they picked a character like that and showed how diverse she is and what she can do if you put her in a role up against Iron Man and Doom. I guess I could say and Doom because he helped her.
Yeah.
Really cool character, and I like what they did. They wrote her in here.
Well, it's nice because they've got a big history of, you know, together, because Tony's always been known as the Playboy.
Yeah.
And to bring a character, a villain at that, in that he has actually had sexual relationships with, it also pulls on him in a different, it brings a different part to the story. It's more emotional instead of just being all about action and defeating the villain, you know. Because when they beat her, you know, he's trying to tell Doctor Strange, you know, she's not really a monster.
Yeah.
Because he has seen a better side of her before. And it's a totally different part of the story. It brings something new to the story.
Well, they do a good job of picking her.
Yeah.
Because not only does she fit, can she play off Tony and all that, you get the sense, and Doctor Strange talks about it, she's dabbling into arts she don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, these artifacts that she's getting are magical, and they're making her powerful. This is the kind of stuff that Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange
would deal with.
So she's getting this stuff. She don't know how to use it, and it's just overwhelming her, and she's just overly powerful.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, and it's nice because throughout Marvel, even besides Iron Man, you look at all your big scientists at Marvel, like Reed, Pym, and compared to Strange, it's always like, you know, it's always that magic versus science thing.
Yeah.
And Pym has even went on to say that, you know, magic is just another form of science. And so you're getting a really good play of that in this book with magic versus technology. Mm-hmm. It's really nice.
On top of comparing magic to science, how they're one and the same, just different fields. After they beat Madame Masque, they go in. Tony and Doom are having this little bickering. What he's just starting to do is to exorcise the demon out of Madame Masque. And he's talking about, well, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to get the demon out of a host without killing the host body? And he's kind of putting Tony on his heels, and Tony's just like, I could look it up, you know, because he refuses to accept that magic can do something that he can't do.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a nice little touch. But one thing I do want to talk about, we always talk about in our reviews, what was y'all's favorite part of the book?
Meeting Doom. We reviewed the Secret Wars. At the end of Secret Wars, you see where Reed has recreated the universe and fixed Doom's face. And you can tell right there by the look on Doom's face how grateful he is for that. And in this book, it shows, at the end of the book, I really wasn't expecting Victor Von Doom in a suit. And, you know, we've been sitting here talking about the armor, and now you've got a guy who's always been about armor with no armor. And I think that's great because it shows you how powerful Doom is in that spot.
Yeah.
Because, like you talked about how he went Hulkbuster, it's the first time you see the suit transform, and Doom just has a magical, you know, shield up, and Tony hits it, and Doom's just kind of looking at him. Like, that's all you got. And then, you know, he's going through doing all this other magic stuff from the book, you know, and even at the end where he shows him the Wand of Watum, which is what Masque was stealing. And obviously she stole a fake one, and, you know, he's talking about how it's powerful, how there's 5 of them throughout the dimensions. Plays on later when he tells Doctor Strange about it. And Iron Man's just sitting there rattling off, and he's like, and he teleports him away. You know, it's nice that just in that part, they show you how awesome Doom is, even without his armor. Because there's been times in Marvel with his armor, you've seen him do impressive things, like he's beat the Hulk physically with that armor, and it's nice to see a different version of Doom in a book that's based about armor, not have armor at all, and once again bring the whole magic versus science thing into it.
To touch on that a little bit, in this book, Strange also says, I can't find Doom, I can't locate him.
Yeah, and
he's good enough at magic that if I find him, it's because he wanted me to find him.
And like I've always said, you know, I know Strange is the Sorcerer Supreme, and I've always told people, Doom is like on par with him. That's just a title to Strange. And he doesn't have the artifact Stranges, but he is just as knowledgeable in magic as Strange is. And like you said, you know, he couldn't find him. If Doom wanted him to be found, Doom would let him be found.
Yeah, he can. I mean, he hides from science too, because Tony can't ever.
Yeah, and I really hope they continue to bring Doom into this book, because I mean, I feel right now with this, they're building Doom up for maybe his own solo title instead of like these little mini series he's always gotten throughout the years, and then building him up for this and see where it goes.
Yeah, I definitely like everything they're doing with Doom, and I agree with him. I like Doom in the suit, and I can see where he's going to go with it. I can also see him doing they're going to build Doom up because he's always wanted this, and maybe they give him his own series, and it works up to a point to where Doom is doing all this good, and then something happens and somebody takes it, and then you'll have Doom like we've never seen before.
Well,
that would be interesting.
Well, like I said, this is one of the books out of all the new stuff, you know, because a lot of the arcs are wrapping up right now for all these all new books. And like I said, this one's got a lot of stuff that seems like it could really play off into the future of what Marvel's got planned.
Yep.
Like I said, you've got Iron Man, you've got Strange, who's kind of, to me, which I've read the book so far, he kind of makes references to what he's got going on. You've got this new Victor Von Doom wanting to turn a new leaf. You've got Amara, you guys keep calling her Amora. Amora is the Enchantress. You got Amara PR, whatever you want to call her last name, and then she drops a bombshell with a mutant cure, which could easily tie into what's been going on in all the X-Men books. Like I said, this book's got a lot of stuff planned for the future, and like I said, I'm glad I've read this before I've read most of them, because I held out and I waited for Secret Wars to be over to start reading all these, and I'm glad I did, because this book is the first one I read, and boy did it just like open the floodgates for the future.
It is really good, but my favorite part is when he first time he fights Masque. And it's not the fact that he gets whooped or the fact that you get to find their love interest. I really enjoyed how he can't even override some of his own safety protocols. Like, he didn't want to be ejected from the suit. The suit ejects him to save his life. And then, but the reason I like it is because the suit pieces back together, what was left of it, what wasn't damaged. And I thought the artwork and the way the suit looked right then was so cool. You can see through gaps, the holes of it and stuff, and it's just a hollow suit that he's controlling, because a lot of it's damaged.
Yeah. And
to me, it looked like the beat-up Ultron from the movie.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
And the reason that's my favorite part is because you had the lightning going around from her and her magic. It was kind of dark. He had the red glowing eyes on the suit. And I just loved, I think the artwork in there was done so well that's the reason that's my favorite part of the book. I couldn't get over how cool it looked. The armor, almost just hovering there, just pieces of it, barely hanging together. And she would hit it with something, and it would like rip open, and it would form back together. And that also, if you pay attention, when he's fighting the armored ninjas, they hit him in his neck with their like
a weak point,
and they almost breach his armor, and he starts reconfiguring around his neck, trying to like basically take the damaged armor, move it around. And then they start just attacking his neck because they know they've kind of damaged it. And so, I mean, that you get to see how his armor actually, he can almost self-repair itself. And I thought, you know, throughout that whole little scene, it was just, to me, that was the best part of the book. The artwork, and you got a lot of legwork about what his armor can do, what he can do without his armor. I just really enjoyed that part of the book.
Going off what you said right there, which I was wanting to bring up, you just talk about the protocols he put in place. And it's to stop him from being him, because he knows how far ahead of himself he gets and how gung-ho he gets. And, you know, like Friday is sitting there enforcing these protocols even though he doesn't want to. And even at the end of the book you see where he does manual. Like, he can do it. But he's put these protocols in, and it's even where he's trying. It even goes back to where he's even making a Friday of himself, because he doesn't want to go to the kids. Because he's like, well, this is important. And then all of a sudden, here comes a hologram of him. He's like, no, you can't do this. You really see where he is really trying to turn a leaf for himself, being a not only Iron Man, but a person. Because, like, the hologram of himself is like, nope, you can't do this. And it's like, hey, this is me 3 days ago. No, you're not doing this. Like, he knew he would do that. And he's trying to not only be a better Iron Man, but be a better Tony Stark to the people of the world. And it's really nice to see that.
Yeah, in the very beginning, he has that argument with himself. I promised myself I'd have more lab work. There'd be more me time.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, I'd spend more time with the person I love most, which is myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got protocols for Iron Man, and he's also got protocols against Tony Stark.
Yeah.
My favorite part of the book is probably another armor part, is where they use the armor to hold Madame Masque in as Doom exercises the demon out of her.
Yeah, it was different.
Yeah, it was,
I have
like
never seen something like that, and it was so cool to watch it, because one, it shows the skill set of both of those. His new armor can do all kinds of stuff throughout the whole book, and they can either hold somebody in like this, and then you get to see not only is Doom powerful with magic and everything, and also just remove demons out of people without killing them. It's so brilliant to watch these two team up basically in a book, and what they can do without having all this action. They can do stuff like this, and it's entertaining. I would read that kind of stuff forever.
Let's get to the part that we were kind of talking about before he started. The one part that worries us is Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Strictly a Spider-Man character. Ever since Civil War, when Mephisto kind of mind wiped them two from everybody, she was the only person that remembered that she was with Peter Parker. And since then, she's dated a couple people. After Secret Wars, it's not like anything ever changed in the 616, if you could still call it the 616. No one really knows. Before that, she had opened a club. It was destroyed. And now she's opening this new club. It's destroyed. Tony comes, talks to her, offers her a job. Now, it doesn't bother me that she's in the book. What bothers me is the potential there for Tony to be Tony and basically screw her. And I don't want that as a huge fan of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Spider-Man territory. You know, we don't need Eskimo Brothers. There's plenty of those in the Marvel Universe, as there is.
It's almost like you got bro code of Spider-Man. You're like, no, you can't do it.
In a way, it's like when we reviewed Civil War, it's almost kind of the same thing. Like maybe they're setting that up. And and even that Civil War, it's almost like it might be a tie into the Civil War that's about to play out in Marvel here real soon. And like I said, there's a lot of things playing with his emotions in here, because he obviously he doesn't know who she is. The armor tells her. So, like I said, you brought up, and I had her correct you on, you were thinking it was Secret Wars, and I had to correct you. I was like, no, it's way back then with Mephisto, is why he didn't know. And it really bothers me that they bring her here. I know they're trying to give her big play, probably because that and with the movie, Spider-Man movie and all that coming up. But I don't like her in this book. I mean, and it hasn't played out yet. You haven't seen what's going to happen. But it really bothers me that she's in this book.
The reason it bothers me is like you were saying, I don't want Tony to be Tony with her.
Exactly.
And that goes back to also what I was saying. I feel like you almost have Broco with Spider-Man with Peter. You know what I mean? You can't, it feels like you're just idly sitting by while some other dude comes takes your woman. You know, and I don't like it. That's supposed to be Spider-Man's girl. But I want to touch on something with the Mary Jane scene. When she shows that, you know, she's more than just a supermodel. She takes a microphone stand and saves Iron Man's life. Like, Madame Masque is about to kill him, and she just baseball swings that thing, hits her inside of the head.
Stand.
Yeah.
I've actually seen that at a concert one time. It's pretty crazy.
And, you know, and she's powerless. She's just a human. But she, being around what she's been around her whole life, you know, that kind of gave her the courage that, you know, she knew she couldn't just run. And she
had
didn't.
to do something.
Yeah.
Well, it's like she had to stand up for what was going on because she's complained so much that this happened to her last time.
Yeah.
It's like she had to do something, you know, in the heat of the moment. It's like she's never going to escape it.
Yeah. You just got to accept it. Sometimes you just got to go with the flow.
And then maybe this will push her back to Peter.
Hope.
I really hope so.
Then a little bit after that we haven't touched on, which is talking about Doom, since we're all big Doom fans. Doom almost outsmarts Tony during this. Like, Tony's like, I can't hold her down, I can't. And he's like, we'll do this, this, and this, and override this, and use your repulsors to hold her,
push her down. Yeah.
And then Tony's
she's
like,
on her back.
Oh, okay. And then Friday in his head's like, that was a really good idea.
He's like, I figured it out.
Yeah, I would have figured it out. I thought that was a cool little bounce back between them two characters. Kind of showing you that, because Iron Man talks, or Tony talks a couple times how smart he is in this book.
Yes. How
he's so much smarter than everybody, and like there's only a couple people that he can talk to that is on his level, and then Doom shows up, and just them little bit of pieces, you find out that, you know, there are people above Tony, you know, and Doom, in my opinion, Doom's one of them. when it comes
He
to
leagues above Tony, in my
yeah,
opinion.
when it comes to that. So I thought that was a cool little play on between the two of them.
I agree.
Go ahead, E.
I was just say, the book as a whole, this is probably one of the best books if you're a new fan and you want to start reading Iron Man, because you can start reading this and almost it's a new chapter and it's got all these new characters in it, and I think it displays to Iron Man and Tony one in the same. And I was just gonna say, if you're a new reader or you got people trying to get them interested in comic books, this is the Iron Man book to read.
Not even being an Iron Man book,
Yeah.
I just think it's a great book to read.
Yeah.
Like I said, there is so much that's in this book that's not Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's a good starting point for people who might, like, what's the Secret Wars? I want to read the Secret Wars.
It fits well into the universe.
ties
It's
so well
not
with
really
what's
just
going on.
wholly an Iron Man book.
Yeah.
You've got
I
Strange,
really
you've got
think-
Doom. Like with the Armor Ninjas, he says that's based off of Mandroid armor. You kind of get a small taste of, older Marvel stories right there, if you're familiar with that. And, I mean, it's a really good jumping off point for Marvel in general.
Well, what do y'all grade it? Since we've
Oh, man, I give it a 5. I give it a 5. Easy. I do. And Doom just makes it like a 12.
Yeah.
So
Oh, a 10. We've been going by 10.
that's what I
Okay,
say.
so Doom makes it like a 2,032,112.
Uh,
It's a perfect story, perfect book.
Oh, well, obviously you're a huge Iron Man fan.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Best thing they're writing.
that's obviously a 10 too.
No, that's a 12. Remember?
That's
12.
yeah, and his is you can't fathom.
Unfathomable. Infinity
Yeah.
times infinity plus 1.
I'll give it a 9.5.
What?
It could be a 10, but the only reason I'm gonna give it a 9.5 is because at times they were putting so much into it that there's times that you wanted to see them follow something. You know what I mean?
And you kind of get lost with a lot of
Yes.
it. And to cut you off, to touch on that, there's something we kind of skipped out. And it's where Doom is talking about how things are falling through the cracks of dimensions.
Yeah.
That's more play towards the future.
And they also talk about how Strange didn't know that.
Yes,
and he's like,
exactly.
how did Doom know it? And I didn't.
Didn't know it because he, like I said, even though he's the Sorcerer Supreme, Doom is on his level magically.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah, there's a lot of little things like that catch your interest, and you want them. It draws you in, but there's so much going on in the book, and I think they do a great job wrapping it all together.
Yes.
But there's
it's
just
a nice little package.
Yeah, it's a nice little package. There's just a couple times where me being who I am, I'm like, oh, I want to see more of this. I want to see more of that. That's just me being selfish. That's why it's still a 9.5 for me.
Another little thing we kind of touched on. Doom brings up an old Iron Man story, not so old, it might be like 10 years old, called The Legacy of Doom, which Evan the Great has recently picked up. I've owned since it come out, and so Iron Man and Doom basically travel to the time of King Arthur, and they fight over Excalibur, and Tony builds them all on top of a lake because he doesn't want anybody to know. It's pretty crazy. And and it's nice to see that Doom brings that up. He's like, he's like, oh, we've had tons of good times, and Doom refers to that, and I thought that was hilarious because it's a really good story, and we talked about it, and I talked to these guys earlier. We're going to recover it here soon because they reference it in this book. Why not cover it?
Yeah, Tony's like, it wasn't a good time. You tried to kill me and leave me in the past. And he's like, I didn't say it was a good time for you.
Yeah, it was a good time for him. But that's about it for Iron Man, Invincible Iron Man Volume 2, all new different Marvel. We highly recommend reading this book. Being the anniversary annual show that of a year ago, I asked Evan who's going to win the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble's tonight. I'm picking Bray Wyatt. Been saying it for weeks.
I'm picking Bray Wyatt.
Damn right. We're the Villains, the Man, Justin Von Doom, Hero Man, Evan the Great. Watch us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Send us some tweets on Twitter, and all hail Doom.